So this week I read about half of chapter 13 of Thomson, Bruckner. It really is roughly the halfway point, although it's almost there. It's like 45% in. Very long chapter, so it'll take me all of next week to finish reading. So I'll just show the book, and we have a guest book to show. All about metric spaces. Yeah, so it's a long chapter, and after I complete this chapter, I'll attempt section 13.4 problems out of Bardo and Sherbert that I only did one of because I wanted to know more about metric spaces. And yeah, so the submetric, yeah. Then this list, which is very similar to the one in Baby Rudin chapter 2, where Rudin lists various topological features, such as the definition for a neighborhood, definition for the diameter of a set, open balls, closed balls, interior points, boundary points, with a few examples. Can't wait to do these problems. There's so many problems in this book. Then the part that I thought was really interesting, and it's, well, of course, homeomorphisms and isometries, right? But separable spaces, complete spaces, completeness proofs. But then once I hit contraction maps, this is the part where I have a guest book. Turns out that, and I love this about TVB, that I believe it's not in any of the books that I'm currently reading, not in this level of detail. There's a little bit in Bardo and Sherbert about contraction maps and about the Banach fixed point theorem. So yeah, so it's all about having a fixed point, and some functions have a fixed point and some don't. So for example, y equals x has a fixed point at the origin. So yeah, very interesting reading. And I'll show where it is. First in Bardo and Sherbert. So this means that once I finish chapter 13, I'll be reading chapters 4 and 5 in Bardo and Sherbert. And sure enough, in section 5.4, for uniform continuity, they discuss the Lipschitz function, which is a less than relationship, and that's where it's a contraction. You're contracting your mapping, and so the difference between the two functions has to be less than some factor times the difference between the 2 points. And in order for it to be a contraction mapping, you have to satisfy f of x equals x as a condition, and that's your fixed point. Yeah, the continuous extension theorem. I think Bardo and Sherbert does not use the name Banach, but it is a Banach theorem. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading that in the near future. That'll be the next reading that I do. And then, of course, in Prater and Mori, they also have a treatment that I plan to read as well, which is the linkage between contraction mappings, Newton's method, and differential equations. So this is a pretty good treatment, so I plan to read this. So I've got some reading assignments just from reading about contraction mappings in chapter 13. I'll just show my notes briefly. Again, conditions for a metric space, various metrics. Then the distance between two functions, that's to define the submetric. Then again, the list of topological items. I guess they're called components if you read in Conway's book. And then, of course, the infinity norm, which is just the square, the unit square. Then the 1 norm, which is really the rhombus inscribed inside the unit square. And then the square norm, which is just the circle. I don't know if it's the square norm. It's just, well, yeah, it's that. And so, of course, there's different comparisons that you can make where the radius is less than r, and then you can sort of insert any one of these inside the other as long as the radii change. Here you go for the homeomorphisms and the isometries, separable spaces. Just as in the book, of course, these are just my notes and the beginning of another notebook. And then, of course, a graphical representation of a contraction mapping. So you have A, x in the middle, and B, and f of x maps to x. So that's the fixed point. But then f of b is less than b, and f of a is greater than a. So you're contracting. It's got a linkage to differentiation, of course. And that's as far as I've gotten on lemma. I'm on example 13.74, and I'm halfway through the chapter.